So, system software, softwares that are used, these are softwares used to support hardwares. There are softwares used to support hardwares. There are softwares used to support hardwares. So we call them system softwares because their main work is to support hardwares. And they can be classified into two. We have we have two operating systems and service programs. Operating systems and service programs. Softwares can be classified in those two. Operating systems. And the other side, we have service programs. Service programs. So we'll start with the operating systems. And we say that an operating system is a system software that manage or that is used to manage system resources. An operating system, the system software used to manage system resources, used to manage system resources. That is the work of the operating system, is to manage the system resources. That is, you can say here, computer resources, computer resources. So some of the resources managed by the operating system includes the memory. So the operating system allows you to manage the memory. Number two, to manage the files, to manage the disks or the storage media. Then it is also used to manage the input and output operations, input and output operations, input stroke output operations. So these are some of the resources that are managed by the operating system, etc. We have many, many other resources that are managed by the operating system. So we need, or we install operating system on devices because it is important. It will allow us to manage the scarce resources that you have. So when you have these resources in our computers, then we can manage them if you have an operating system. So our next discussion about operating systems, we have different types of operating systems, different types of operating system. So, and you can write these types of operating systems. So the following types of number one, we have batch operating systems, batch operating systems, batch operating system, batch operating system, batch operating systems. So which operating system are these? So from the computer evolution, operating system has also evolved, just like computer has evolved. That is, we have the machines that use the traditional operating systems, the operating system that used to perform just one task at a time. So you can write that an operating system referred to as batch is of which nature? So batch operating system, right? A batch operating system is an operating system used to run tasks or jobs after an accumulation of a series of activities. After an accumulation of a series of activities. After an accumulation of a series of activities. After accumulation of a series of activities, that is over a long period of time. So that is why we call it a batch. The word batch here means accumulation. Accumulation. So the batch operating system perform a single task at a time. So you can write that they perform one task at a time. They perform one task at a time. Perform one task at a time. So actually, these are the oldest operating systems that were ever invented by humans, but they have been upgraded with the times or with the time. And nowadays we have even better operating systems that can perform many tasks at a time. So another type of operating system, number two, we have multitasking, let's start with online, interactive operating system, interactive operating systems. That is the reason why nimesema tuanze na hiyo, because this is actually the opposite of the other. So this operating system, we call them offline operating systems. Batch operating system are offline indicating that the processing unit is not directly connected to the data enquiry unit. So it means during the time of processing, this is data enquiry unit, the data enquiry unit, and we have the central processing unit. So in the batch operating system, this one accumulates data over a period of time. Until a specific time that is defined, it is now connected to the CPU for processing. So it does most of its operation offline, not connected. But once the accumulation of data is complete, then it is connected to the CPU for processing. That is what we call offline operating systems. But the second type of operating system, interactive, we refer to it as online operating system. Online operating system. Why do you call it online operating system? You can write that an interactive operating system, these are operating system that have interactive units, and the results of data processing is available immediately. And the results of data processing is available immediately. The results of data processing is available immediately. That is because of that interaction, then the response is immediate. The data enquiry unit and the central processing unit are connected such that as the data is collected, it is processed. So, and that direct interaction makes them online. That is, we call them online operating system because there is that immediate feedback. So just differentiate the two, that this one, we don't have the immediate feedback. So the feedback will have to take time because once it is connected, it has to wait for processing. Then finally, the results are given out. So, but here, the results that are given out, though they are immediate, but they are not really waited for the next processing. So that way we have the third operating system, we call it real-time operating system. Real-time operating systems. Real-time operating system. Real-time operating systems. So which operating system are these? Then you can say that a real-time operating system, are operating systems whereby they are operating system that enables people. They are operating system that enables they are operating systems that enables processes and response to input. They enables processes and response to input. It enables processes and response to input to be immediate, to be immediate. That is response to be immediate. Immediate, that is immediate response for the next processing cycle, for the next processing cycle, for the next processing cycle, for the next processing cycle. That is, you can define it as that. We also have other ways of referring to this real time. You can also say that this operating system responds to input instantly. Response to input instantly. That is, they give response to input immediately. That is instantly. So usually they are created in that manner. So an operating system that runs in a server computer, for example, a server computer could be this operating system is waiting for inquiries from customers. You can give an example, like if you want to inquire for your M-Pesa balance, for example, you use your mobile phone to do that, to inquire for the balance. So how long will you wait for this response? It is immediate. So inamaanisha hivi that the server is running a real-time operating system that can respond to customers' request immediately for the next processing cycle. So these operating systems are used in various systems, e.g. areas of application of these systems. We have reservation systems where we need to do booking. So that is one area where these operating systems are applied, reservation systems. We have military software systems, the system used in war. Such system requires real-time operating system. So military software systems. They also applied in space software systems, spacecraft software systems. So real-time operating system run on special servers that can give response to users immediately. So the other type of operating system is multitasking. Multitasking operating system. Multitasking operating system. You can say that these are operating system that allows more than one program to run concurrently. More than one program to run concurrently. It allows more than one task to run concurrently. Why make several tasks run concurrently? For which reason? So they allows more than one task or more than one program to run concurrently, thereby ensuring that system resources are utilized effectively. Ensuring that system resources are utilized effectively. That is the main purpose of making them run concurrently. So that you have one memory, we have one CPU, but you are able to run several tasks on the same unit, one memory, one CPU. So that means you utilize your memory fully. At the same time, you utilize the CPU processing cycle and power effectively. So that is multitasking. Sometimes you also refer to it as multi-programming. Also called what? Multi-programming. So there is no difference between multitasking and multi-programming. It is the same operating system. Another operating system is multiprocessing. Which operating system is this? And what is the difference between multiprocessing and multiprogramming? So you can say that multiprocessing are operating systems that support running of a program on more than one CPU. Running of a program on more than one CPU. Running of a program on more than one CPU. That is, here you can run just a program, but you run it in more than one CPU. So the system has to The system has 2 or more processing units. 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 That is multi-processing. Any system that is running this multi-processing operating system must have more than one CPU. Remember that the CPU, the central processing unit, can only process one process at a time. A process here means a program under execution. So it cannot run 2 at the same time. So meaning that even when you are loading 2 programs, then a program is loaded in the memory, then that the memory supports several programs. This is the memory. And here we have the CPU. The CPU. So when you're running several tasks, jobs, we call them jobs. Jobs are admitted in the memory. So you can open 2 programs and you can see the 2 programs working at the same time, but they are running in the memory, not the CPU. The CPU only executes one task at a time. So when you are working on one task, you cannot work on both tasks at the same time. You'll be working on one task at a time. So they are running on the same memory at the same time. So meaning that you keep on interchanging the tasks and the CPU process one at a time. But when you have a machine that is connected to several users, that is, you have a machine that has one main server, the server, and then this server is connected to dump stations. A dump station is a station with a keyboard and a monitor and a mouse, no CPU. Another one, the same. So these 2 people are running different applications at the same time, probably. So the operating system that runs such a machine must be multi-processing. And this machine must have more than one CPU. So that is what we mean by multi-processing. Another operating system used is there's another distributed operating system. Distributed operating systems. Distributed operating systems. An operating system is regarded as distributed when it is able to support a network. So you can write a distributed operating system is a system that manages a group of networked computers. A system that manages a group of networked computers which have the same goal. So it manages a group of networked computers that has the same goal, for their work. So that means the components that are connected in that network, they achieve that common goal, solving a large computation problem, because there is an operating system that makes them communicate, all of them at once. So that operating system, we call it distributed or network operating system. Another word for this one is network operating systems. Network operating systems. These are operating systems that support network. They support networks. The operating system that do support network, we call them network operating system. We also have mobile operating system, another type. Mobile operating systems. Mobile operating system is one, the latest mobile operating system ever invented. And you can write that these are operating systems that are designed to power smartphones. The operating system designed to power smartphones, tablets, and wearable and handheld devices. Handheld devices. These handheld devices, that is, those smart devices used like the mobile phones, even you have those watch that has operating systems. So that is the mobile operating system. Examples of these operating systems, so we will discuss examples later. We have examples. We have Android, you know, the Android operating system. We have the iOS, that is iPhone operating systems. And initially we used to have an operating system, BlackBerry. I don't know whether you found this BlackBerry that used to run in those BlackBerry mobile phones. So those are mobile operating systems. So when you are asked to give types of operating system, multitasking, we wrote about multitasking. Multitasking is also referred to as time sharing. Time sharing. So sometimes we find some books have separated the two. The time sharing operating system is also used, is an operating system that can allow several tasks to run in the same CPU at the same time. That is several tasks to run the same system at the same time. So our next discussion, we will check on classification of operating systems. The classification of operating system. That is what you had in your book, the classification of operating system. Remember that those are not types. So just classify operating system into several categories. So according to several ways, you can write that operating system can be classified according to the following. Operating system can be classified according to the following. Number one, according to purpose. According to purpose. According to purpose. According to purpose. And here we have two operating systems. Number one is special purpose. Special purpose operating systems. Special purpose operating systems. These are designed to be used for one purpose. They are operating system designed to be used for one purpose. Operating system designed to be used for one purpose. So usually these operating systems are installed. They are usually installed permanently in the ROM, in the computer ROM or any other device ROM. They are installed in the ROM by the manufacturer. So where will this operating system applied? They are normally applied in devices like in elevators, in autos. Such systems have operating system. So when you see a lift, that lift going up, it is controlled by an operating system. But that is not an operating system you can remove. It is permanently installed on the chip, on a chipset, such that you can program that lift. We can command the lift to move. Move to this floor, move to this floor. It is controlled by an operating system. But that operating system is only used there in any other machine. That way we call it special purpose operating system. Number two, we have general purpose operating system. And here we say that they are operating systems that are designed, used in many applications. Operating system designed to be used in many application areas. Operating system designed to be used in many application areas. So usually these operating systems are used in computers. Most operating systems used in computers are general purpose. You can give examples, e.g. The most common is Windows operating system. Others like Linux used in Windows. Why do we say that they are used in many areas? because if your machine is using Windows, it can allow you install as many applications as possible. So provided that application meant for Windows. So then you can use your machine to do various tasks. You can use your machine to do accounting, to do document processing, to do architectural work. So provided you have the right application, then you can use your machine, just one machine, to do a number of tasks. That's why you call them general or general purpose. Then the number two, another classification is according to users, number of users. According to number of users, here we have a single user and a multi-user. Single user operating system and multi-user operating system. So single user, these operating systems support, they are designed to be used by only one person. Designed to be used by only one person. Designed to be used by only one person. That is, one person using a computer. So the computer that you use, it has one monitor. It has one keyboard, not two. It has one mouse. It has one CPU. That means it is meant to be used by one person at a time. So that machine, we call it the desktop computer. For those who did computers, desktop computer. So that means a single user operating system is also referred to as desktop operating system. It's also referred to as desktop operating system. So that is operating system that is a bit common because this machine, you use them in schools, you use them at home. So we have them, they are common. So examples, we have Windows is is actually the most common. All Windows, most of them, Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows 10, we have Windows 11. Other operating system like Mac, used in Mac operating system, Apple computers, they also they also support one user at a time. Then we have multi-user operating systems. These are designed to support many applications at a time, many users at a time. Multi-user, they are designed to support more than one user at a time. More than one user at a time. These are funny operating system whereby we have only one CPU. And this CPU is connected to several workstations. That is what we call the server, is one machine that is of connecting several stations. A station, but not a complete station, that has the mouse, the keyboard, and the monitor, one. Another station that has the same. But these are dump stations. We call them dump station. Dump station means that these stations, they don't have a processing system on their own. They rely on another CPU, but they don't have the power to shut down the CPU. They don't have the power to shut down the CPU. That means this user will do his own work. He can open different programs, but these programs are installed in the server. So the other person can also do the same. They are sharing the same CPU at the same time. So the operating system used here is what we call multi-user. So being running, or because it runs in server, computer. Then you call it the server operating system. It's also referred to as server operating system. Examples of this operating system, we have Windows Server. We have a special Windows that runs in server computers. We call it the Windows Server. So according to tasks, here we have two operating systems. We have single tasking, single tasking operating systems. These are operating systems that support only one application at a time. Support only one application at a time. Support only one application at a time. One application at a time. That is, when we're using this operating system, the user can only perform one task at a time. A good example of this operating system is the disk operating system. Disk operating system. Disk operating system. So the first interface that humans were able to develop once they made a computer was that disk operating system. The disk operating system used to run using commands. So sometimes you call it, or another word is command driven. This is command driven operating system, because it is an operating system where the user will have to keep on typing commands every now and then. For you to perform a task, you have to give a command. And this command is done by typing, not by clicking. You don't have a mouse. Not by clicking on any button. You don't have buttons. But by typing commands. If you want to print, you have to type print so that the computer will print. So if you have to copy, you have to type copy. So that means you have to type a command at a time. And we call this command-driven operating system. So the opposite of this is multitasking. Multitasking. These multitasking operating systems are designed to support many applications at a time. They are designed to support many applications at a time. They are designed to support many applications at a time. And the most common operating system is Windows. All Windows are multitasking. All Windows operating system are multitasking. That is, they can allow you to open several tasks at the same time. Here, the task open as window. You can have one window, another window, several windows. You can run several windows at a time. Hence, you're able to run several tasks at the same time. And the tasking here means that they could be used to run one task while the other one is still going on. That is, you are copying a document. At the same time, you are playing a music file in your computer. You don't have to stop the music file so that you can copy. That is, it is running the two applications at the same time. That is what we mean by multitasking. That is the classification of operating system. So our next discussion, we'll check on functions. Why do you have to install operating system in your computer? Functions of operating systems. Functions of operating systems. Functions of operating systems. So why do we install operating system in computers or other devices? So functions, number one, process management. We install operating system for that one reason, process management. That is, you can say that process management helps operating system to create and delete processes. To create and delete processes. It's the work of operating system to create and delete processes. It also provides a mechanism for communication among processes. They provide a mechanism for communication among processes. A process is a program under execution. And it has 3 states. We have 3 states of a process. One state is referred to as ready state. The ready state is a process when it is in RAM, in the memory RAM. That is, this is a process that can be executed. The next state is running state. The running state is when the process is already in the CPU being executed. Then there is a third state that sometimes do occur when there is something we call deadlock. That is, if a process or 2 processes that are ready, they are trying to access the CPU at the same time. They are trying to access the same resource at the same time. Then the program reads to a deadlock. A deadlock is when the program is blocked. Blocked state is another state of a process. Or sometimes an event do occur that makes a program to be regarded as blocked. Sometimes you can block a process yourself manually if you don't want that process to proceed running again. So these are controlled by the operating system. A process has to be admitted in the processing pool. The admission of the process in the processing pool is when you trigger the program to start. When you double click the program and it loads. It loads here. It loads there. Then once it loads here, during the processing, it has to be taken to the CPU for processing. And that time it is in the running state. Then later it can be returned back to the ready state. But if there is some problems that do occur, that is external event that do occurs, an event can occur that makes the program to be blocked. When it is blocked, unless you put in some input for this program to come back to the processing pool, that is what we call process management. So it is the work of operating system to ensure that. Number 2, we have another function of operating system is memory management. Memory management. And the operating system allocate and deallocate. It allocates and deallocates memory space in need of this resource. It allocates and deallocates memory space for programs in need of this resource. Notice that there is no any machine that has infinite memory. The memory is always scarce. So now actually, the reason why some people will dispose one machine and buy another machine because they want to have more. So meaning that if the memory, you have a memory, and when you talk of memory, we are referring to specifically the memory RAM. And you have various programs that requires to load in this memory. The biggest computer that you can ever use cannot have more than maybe 100 GB of RAM. There is none. Like this machine has 8 GB of RAM. And you'll find that a program is actually running 10 GB of RAM, one program. Another program is running around 14 GB of RAM. So this means that this memory cannot hold any of this. And if you load one, then try to load the next, then it will tell you that you don't have sufficient memory to run the two applications. So the operating system goes a mile further to create another virtual storage, the virtual memory, if the memory is not enough to load one program. So it creates something we call buffer. You have ever seen the buffer? Eh? That buffer is a memory that is created by the operating system on the hard disk. It goes to the hard disk and make a small part of the hard disk to run like a memory. So, and that is what you make now a program to run in the memory. That means it is the work of operating system to ensure that programs are loaded in the memory, programs are removed from the memory so that the others can get access to the memory. So that is the work of operating system. Number 3 is file management. File management. Another function of operating system to manage file. What is a file? A file is a collection of information. A collection of information. A collection of related information. So these files normally zinatumwa to display activities. So it is the work of operating system to organize. So you can write, operating systems are used to manage. They are used to manage files. They are used to manage files by organizing the storage, retrieval, naming, sharing, organizing storage, retrieval, naming, sharing, discarding, that is deleting, discarding or deleting, and protection of files, It's actually the work of operating system to ensure that your files are secure. It has so many mechanisms that facilitate this. So when you make your files in your system, in your computer, in your mobile phone, then it gives you all those options. To save your files, to delete, to rename them, to share these files to other systems. So that is the work of operating system. Do that. The other function of operating system is device management. There is actually one feature in Windows called the device manager. And this specifically is used to make sure that the devices are working as expected. So the work of operating system here, the operating system is responsible of allocating tasks to devices, allocating and deallocating tasks to devices. That is number 1. Operating system 2 ensures that all tasks are running, ensures that all devices are working as expected. All devices are working as expected. So if certain devices are not properly configured, then the operating system always indicates that it have its own way of indicating a hardware, whether it's input or output, that is not working properly. So it has to show the user that a specific hardware is not working as expected. Then the other function is the other function of operating system is disk management. Disk management. Now here we specify the disk is the storage media. The disk management. Here operating system does a number of tasks concerning disk management. So you can say that operating system does the following concerning to disk management. Number one, we have disk formatting. It is the work of operating system to format the disk. So that is, without the operating system, you cannot do format. Format is prepare disk for storage. Prepare disk for storage. Prepare disk for storage. So when you prepare disk for storage, you actually allocate the number of tracks and sectors in the disk. So hence you can know the capacity of that disk that is that can occupy files. Number two, another activity done by the operating system is disk partitioning. Disk partitioning, which is another function of operating system, that is dividing the disk, dividing a disk into multiple logical drives, dividing the disk into logical multiple drives. So you divide a disk into logical drives, multiple logical drives. So it's the work of the operating system to partition, to divide the disk into logical drives. So the other function operating system that is done by the operating system is backup, disk backup or backup. So that is operating system provide an option of backing up the data, that is copying or making a copy of data in a separate storage media. If the operating system has facilitated that to make a copy of files in a separate storage media, So it's the work of operating system actually to do those activities concerning the disks, though we will come to discuss them later in utility applications. So those are the major disk management activities. Then the other function of operating system is error reporting. That the operating system is responsible of reporting both physical and logical, physical and software errors, that is hardware and software errors. It is responsible of reporting both software and hardware errors, both hardware and software errors. Then you also have event logging, or sometimes you call it job accounting. Another function of operating system is job accounting. Job accounting, bado ndio tunaita event logging. That is, when you're using your machine, it is possible to tell the number of activities that has happened within a specific duration of time. In your mobile phone, it is possible to do that, to tell the number of calls you have done in one day, or you have received in one day. So where do you go? You go to logs, dear. You have to go to logs. So that is the work of operating system, to keep record of activities that has happened within a specific duration of time. So is another function of operating system. Finally, we have talked of event logging. Yeah, then operating system also facilitate the starting up of the computer. That is starting up of the computer, and also shutting down. So the operating system allows to start up and to shut down a system. So it is responsible for starting up and shutting down of any system. Remember that this starting up is normally controlled by the post and the bootstrap loader. Both are softwares under the BIOS. You remember we talked about that. So that is the software that enables the system to boot up. Also are facilitated. This is facilitated by the operating system. Then finally, we'll discuss about service programs and wind up these service programs. We just classify them here. I think we wrote this, or is it in this class? Service programs. These programs called utilities. They are utilities, service programs. These are a program designed for general support of the computer. General support of the computer. The general support of the computer. So that they do support various activities in the computer, and we call them service programs. And we have utilities. So this, the word utility is used here to refer to such applications that are used to perform various tasks to maintain or to enhance the operating system. So we install these utilities on operating system so that you make your operating system even more better. Examples become antivirus programs. An antivirus program is used to protect your computer from the damage caused by what? By virus or other similar programs. So other utilities, the data recovery utilities, and these are utilities that attempt data recovery. The first one is talked of antivirus. The work of antivirus is to protect computer from the damage caused by what? By viruses. Then data recovery, these attempt to restore data that has been damaged or deleted. They attempt to recover data that has been damaged or have been deleted. So they allow you to restore this data back. Then other utilities are, number 3, we have the firewall utility. Firewall utility. What is firewall here? A firewall is actually a filter. So this is a software or a utility that prevent outsiders from accessing your system. They prevent outsiders from accessing your system, either from out of the network or through the network. They prevent outsiders from accessing your computer or accessing a computer over a network. Sometimes you do set up firewall even in your phone when maybe you block certain numbers in your phone. What you have done is that you have set a firewall. Your mobile phone set a firewall whenever you block a number. That means that number cannot access to your device, whether it is through the network or it is just through the mobile phone network. That is any other network like internet or any connection. That is firewall. Then other utility, these applications, you can classify them into a few categories. Like this one we are discussing here, we can refer to them as security utilities. Because all of them, as you check, they are normally used for security reasons. And another one still used here is backup utility. The backup utility. And the work of the backup here is to allow the user create copies of files in another storage media, in a separate storage media, create copies of files in a separate storage media. Then we have other utilities called disk disk utilities. Disk utilities. These are utility application that allows you to manage the disk, like we have stated above there. So these systems include the disk defragmenter, disk defragmenter, disk defragmenter. So the work of this utility is to ensure that it gathers together fragmented files. So the work of the fragmenter is to bring fragmented files together, brings fragmented files together, brings fragmented files together for easy access and retrieval, for easy access and retrieval, for easy access and retrieval. That is the fragmenter. The fragmenter. The other utility under the disk we have the disk partitioner, as we have said previously. So, and this partitioner, the partition is to divide. So the work of this utility is to allow the user divide one drive or one disk into several logical drives, And this utility allows the user to achieve that, to partition the disk into several partitions. Then the other utilities, you can refer to them as development utilities. Hapa tuko na disk compression or disk compressor that compress the files within a disk to occupy a small space. Maybe you can have it, disk compress. We have another called disk cloning. Disk cloning. That is another utility still used here under disk management. And to corner disk cleaner. The disk cleaner allows the user to remove junk files, unnecessary files from the computer. So you use the disk cleaner to do that. Finally, we have the development utilities. These are utilities that are used by developers to make new applications. They are programs used to create new softwares. Programs made to create new application or to create new softwares. The programs that are made to create new softwares or to create new applications. So here we have a number of them. They're normally deployed by developers, those programmers. Examples, we have language translators. Language translator. You know the languages that we use, like the language we are using is English, but in computer, this language is not actually intercepted by the CPU. That means you need some programs to interpret our human language into machine language. So here, a number of programs include the text editors. Text editors allows you to edit or to type in the code. Text editors. We have assemblers. These translate assembly language into machine readable form. Assemblers. The other one is compilers. Compilers make it possible for programmer makes it possible for programmer to convert the source code to object code, the source code to object code. That is here, the user is able to convert every code that he have typed into one file. Then this file will be portable and will be transmitted from one device to the next. So those are some of these applications that we use. We call them service programs. So I think that one is clear. So our next discussion will discuss more application softwares. And now here which will be winding up. So before to organize our applications, there's a small paper I have given there. And I would like us to go through it very fast because it's a simple paper. And then you see what sometimes you expect for exam. So that this is an HED paper, but the question you have been asked here, if they were to be asked again in ICT, they could not change. That is the same settings itatumua, sawa? Kwa hivyo hakuna maswali utapata ngumu hapa. You just need to check, angalia kama hizo maswali, question 1, you can answer that, sindio? 4 pointing devices, kama gani? Mouse, yes, touchpad, yes. Pointing devices, hizo ni vitu najua. Then task 2. Yes. Output devices. Yes. Yes, tunaangalia karatasi. Check. You can simplify processes. So the other question was asked, differentiate between data and information. Data is what? Data is raw facts and figures about particular subject. Information is processed data. So 3 goals of networking computer in an organization. Yes? 4 marks. To differentiate, ukipeana difference, you don't have 2 differences. Just differentiate, you get the 4 marks. When you state about data, 2 marks. Information, 2 marks. You get the 4 marks. So, goals. Why do people establish networks? Our next topic. People do establish networks for which purpose? To reduce the cost of buying hardwares. When you establish a network, you reduce the cost of buying many hardwares because you can share the limited hardwares you have. You don't have to buy printers per every computer, for example. But with one printer, you can share this printer among other people. That means you reduce the cost. Network facilitates communication. It makes it easier to communicate. So that is another goal, is to simplify and to facilitate communication, to share the resources. You establish networks so that you can share centralized resources. Then there is distribution of work. Distribution of work. That is, you can share and distribute work. You don't have to overload work in one workstation, but when you have a network, you are able to distribute work to several people. So explain, number 2, explain the 2 classes of computers, analog and digital computers, hybrid computers. Analog computers that works and process data that is in analog form, that is continuous data, like temperature. That is the computer that can allow or can only process analog data, whether it's a form of sounds, mostly in form of sounds and such. These analog computers. Hybrid digital computers, these computers represent data in digital form. That is, in form of binary codes, in form of binary logics, zeros and ones. That is digital computer. Hybrid, it's a combination of what? Combination of analog features and digital features. A computer that has combination of both analog and digital features. Then question B, you are told to outline 6 functions of an operating system. Functions of operating system, we have seen them. We have several functions of operating systems. So this one you know about: memory management, file management, disk management, security, job accounting, and all these are a function of operating system. Highlight 4 factors that could influence the design of computer files. We will see about computer files, and we have so many factors that can influence the design of a computer file, including the frequency of updates. So computers are designed, or computer files are designed with that in mind, that if this file is to be updated so regularly, that is a factor you need to consider, the frequency of update. Huh? Yes, we also factor in the anticipated growth. That is the size of the file. Could be the file will grow in size in the future. You have to consider that anticipated growth. That is the size growth in size of the file. You need to consider too the technology, that is the frequent change of technology. When designing the files, you have to consider, that is the change. Change here we talk of change, different changes, change in size, change in technology. You have to consider that fact that in future, the file may increase in size. You need to consider the storage, where this file will be stored, the storage media. Where will you store these files? The storage media. So storage media here could be a magnetic tape, a magnetic disk, or an optical disk. We talked of different categories of storage media. Optical storage, we have the flash memory, and the magnetic storage. When storing the files, you also need to consider such factors. That is the storage use. Then you also need to consider the file access method. The file access method. Which method will you use to access to the file? File access method. So those are the factors to consider when you are going for computer or designing the computer files. What is a browser? A browser is an application, is a program. A browser is a program that enables to retrieve web pages from the internet. the program that enables to retrieve web pages from the internet. That is the browser. You know, common browsers like Mozilla Firefox, the Google Chrome, used in computers, Opera Mini used in even in mobile phones. Those are the browsers. They are referring to Internet Explorer, Edge. We have various browsers. So here you are asked to give common browsers that you know. What do we mean by cold booting? Cold booting is the initial start of the computer. When the computer is triggered to start on, that is cold booting. A process through which computer goes when it is triggered to start. That is called booting. But warm booting is a process whereby the system is restarted. That is, restarting a computer means to warm boot it. That is, it is not from the initial, it is not from the initial shutdown. It has been working, but right now is restarted. That is warm booting, warm booting. What causes the computer failures? What causes computer failures? Several things that may cause computer to fail. Like what? Yes? Virus. Yes, interception of virus. Computer failures can be caused by virus. That is, those malicious files or malicious programs that may disable or may paralyze computer operations. That is viruses. Another cause of failures. Yes? Yes? Heat. Yes, excessive heat. You should not store your computer in a very hot place. At one given time, this machine will fail to work. Actually, inside the computer, you have different ways of cooling system. If a cooling system within the computer fails, then that machine will stop working. So it must have that smooth flow of air within the system. At the same time, it should not be used in a very hot area. Why? Because heat will make some of these devices to keep on expanding and constructing, that sometimes may make them to loosen up. Then another cause of computer failure, we have those common things, like the failure of the hard disk. If the hard disk fails, that causes the entire computer not to work. We have the failure of the memory. If the computer fails, the memory fails, then that is another reason why a computer may fail to work. The failure of the motherboard. That is general failure of hardwares. If computer hardware fails, that is causes computer to fail, to stop working. Then the general failure of softwares. If the software do fail, then like the operating system, the failure of the operating system, then the computer do fail to start, the failure of the operating system. So if the operating system is not working, then that computer will not work, because operating system is actually the real engine of the computer. So those and many other failures, the power problem, power issues. That is, if you have power failure, power blackout, we have excessive, that is voltage over voltage, that causes the computer to fail. Even under voltage causes computer to fail. So all these are factors that makes the system not work. Then five basic operation of a computer. We stated these. We said that the five basics are what? Input, output, storage, control, and processing. Those are the major functions. Actually, if you are asked to give functions or operations, don't start writing funny things like you start saying to send emails, to type documents. No. These are a basic function of a computer, the operation of a computer. So that is about the operations of a computer. Then another question here, outline two advantages of laser printers. Advantages of laser printers. We talked about the categories of printers. We say that we have impact versus non-impact. Yeah, we have this high speed versus low speed. Yeah, the laser printers has which advantages? Less noise. They print without a lot of noise. They produces less noise. Another quality output. They produces quality output. Quality output. The other advantage? Fast. Actually, that could be the first one. They are a very fast machine. They can print so many documents within a very short time. So they are a fast processing machine. They can print a number of documents at a very short time. They are quality printers. Yes, they produce high quality printouts. So the next question, highlight 4 characteristics of 5th generation computers. 5th generation computers. 5th generation has which characteristic or features? Features number 1. Yes. So that is, they actually they can allow users to program using high-level programming languages. That is, users or this language or these computers can allow programming using high-level programming languages. The advantages of using high-level programming languages, we will see these one as we wind up the topic today, that they can, or high-level languages are used to very sophisticated softwares, that is complicated softwares. So you are able to create a software that can capture a lot of things. So, and this generation can allow you to do that. So another characteristic is that this machine has what? High processing power, and they have large capacity of storage. They have enough memory, that is more memory compared to other machines. And they can be used in a situation where automation is required. Another advantage is that they have that feature of automation features. That is, it can allow users to automate the functions within those machines. So you can have functions being automated. So automation of tasks enables the computer to be commanded to do certain tasks automatically without or with limited control by humans. So another feature of these computers is that they are normally used in what? In artificial intelligence. So that is, they have that element of artificial intelligence, or of the feature of artificial intelligence. So you're supposed to highlight a number of them to get the 4 marks. So before we move on to the remaining questions, let's proceed to our next discussion. We reached under the development application. You talked of language translators. Language translators are 3. Language translators, we have 3 of them. We have the assemblers, compilers, and interpreters. Interpreters, assemblers, and compilers. Those are the language translators. Other development programs include the text editors. We talked of that. We also have libraries and diagnostic utilities. All those utility applications are under development. They are normally used in development. So Our next discussion, we will discuss about application softwares. This one will wind up very fast, it's not wide. Application softwares. So we'll come to discuss each application at its own time. Application softwares are softwares that are designed. You can write that application softwares. From that diagram, we did know about system softwares and application softwares. Application softwares are softwares designed. They are softwares designed to solve users' problems, to solve users' particular problems, to solve users' particular problems using computer, to solve users' particular problems, to solve users' particular problems. So here we need to check on the sources. Where do we get these application softwares? Right, the sources of application softwares. Sources of application softwares. The sources of application softwares. We have two main sources of application softwares. One source tunaita proprietary source. Proprietary source. Proprietary source. Number one, proprietary source. And number two, we call it number two, we refer to them as off-the-shelf softwares, off-the-shelf softwares, off-the-shelf. We have two main sources of application softwares. One is proprietary softwares, and here we have off-the-shelf. Off-the-shelf. Whatever we call the proprietary source, we also use the word tailor-made softwares, and here we refer to them as ready-made softwares. Ready-made. They are ready-made softwares. We have tailor-made versus ready-made. So these are special. They are special purpose softwares. Special purpose, and these one here are general purpose. General purpose. So these words, you can find them in various aspects, explaining about these softwares. So what do you mean by a proprietary software? You can write down that diagram. You can say that a proprietary software is a software which is legal property of one party. Legal property of one party. Legal property of one party. A software that is legal property of one party. That is, it is licensed for one person. A software licensed for one person. It has been developed for one person. So the term of use by other people have to be defined on the contract agreement. So these are software that is made just for one particular company. It is not developed for other people. In case anybody else want to use this software, he must sign in a contract with the copyright. That is the main source or the main owner of this software. So what are the advantages of using such softwares? Advantages that the company will get by using such softwares, you can write. Advantages of proprietary softwares, that you can get exactly what you want or what you need in terms of reports and features. You can get exactly what you want in terms of reports and features. That is one advantage of this software. You can get exactly what you need in terms of reports and features. Number two, another advantage that the company will gain through the use of these softwares is that being involved in development offers a further level in control over the results. Being involved in development offers a further level in control over the results. Being involved in development offers a further level of control over the results. Then number three, another advantage, that these softwares are more flexible. There is more flexibility in making modification. More flexibility in making modification. That is, the software is actually yours. No one you don't have to go asking permission to anyone to modify your application. Furthermore, you have the source code. You have the source code. That means you can modify the software anytime you want. So there is more flexibility in making modification that may be required to counteract maybe competitors' new initiative, or maybe the new requirement from customers or new demand from customers. So there is more flexibility in making modification to meet new suppliers or customers' requirements. Even in times of merger, if a company wants to merge with another company, then it is easier if they have their own custom-made software than if they are using a ready-made software. So those are the advantages that the company gain by using software that has been customized for them. So then the other softwares, we call them the off-the-shelf. Disadvantages before we move to off-the-shelf. Disadvantages that may haunt the company from using a custom-made software. One, we say that it can take a long time, can take significant long time and resources to develop. So it takes a longer time to develop a software. Then number two, we say that the in-house or these in-house development staffs may be pressed with a lot of activities, required to support and maintain. The custom-made software. So this makes them not to concentrate on new projects. So they just, when you have that custom-made software, it means you developed for your own. That still means that you also need to do the support and maintenance because it is yours. But if you had bought this software from a company, for example, you have bought the company from this, or the software from this company, Sage. Sage is a company that creates softwares too. And if you buy the software from the company, then it means the company will still continue offering support and maintenance. So hence, you not be tasked to do that job. So that job will be done by the developing party. Then another disadvantage is that the software makes the business owner to depend upon the developers. The software makes business owners to heavily depend on the developers. That is, here, you don't have otherwise because these developers has developed the system for you. So you have to keep on depending on them in case of modification, new initiative. You want to do any modification, you have to involve them. So, and that is another challenge. Then it is difficult to adapt software the software changes in the market, and difficult to adapt the software to changes in the marketplace. Difficult to adapt the software to changes. To adapt the software to changes. So that is another challenge. And lastly, it is expensive to develop. It is expensive to develop than even to buy. It is very expensive to develop a custom-made software than to buy a ready-made software. That is the initial purchase. Though tutakuja kuona that in the long run, using this custom-made software is cheaper in the long run because you don't have to keep on buying new releases. When you want to change, when your company extends, that is the growth, then you have to buy another software that is able to capture more data. Here, you just need to modify what you have. So in the long run, it is cheaper, but the initial cost is expensive. Then off the shelf are softwares of which nature? You can say that these softwares, these are softwares that are already made and available for sale. There are softwares that are already made and available for sale. Softwares that are already made and available for sale. Lease or license to the general public. Lease or license to the general public. They are either sold, they are leased, or they are licensed to the general public. If these softwares are not created for a specific company, for example, if you buy Microsoft Office, that office is not only used in your company, it is used by everyone else having computers. So that means this software is used in general, that is general public. Then advantages of using these softwares is what? Number one advantage of using this software, because of this is the general public, you see that the initial cost is lower. The initial cost is lower. The initial cost is lower since the software firm is able to spread the cost. Since the initial or the firm, the initial cost is lower since the firm or the software firm is able to spread the development cost. Is able to spread the development cost over a large number of customers. Over a large number of customers. Over a large number of customers. That is, you're able to distribute the cost over a large number of customers. Like Microsoft are able to sell their product at the cheapest price. Why? Because they will be able to distribute this cost to so many customers. Then there are lower risk that the software will fail. Lower risk that the software will fail to meet the basic business needs. Lower risk that the software will fail to meet the basic business needs. Lower risk that the software will fail to meet the basic business needs. That is another advantage. Then another advantage is that before using this software, you can analyze existing features. You are able to analyze existing features and performance. Existing features and performance prior to installation. That is before you even start using them. Prior to implementation, you are able to analyze all existing features and performance of the software. Then finally, these applications are likely to be of high quality. These applications are likely to be of high quality. Why are they of high quality? They are likely to be of high quality since many customers have tested, many customer or clients have tested the software, has tested the software and help identify many of its errors. Many of its errors. So many companies have tested the software and has helped to identify many of its errors. Then disadvantages of these softwares, the disadvantages of this source of softwares, that is the off the shelf. One disadvantage is that when you get software from this source, the organization may have to pay for features. The organization may have to pay for features. The organization may have to pay for features that are not required or never used. The organization may have to pay for features that are not required or never used. So that is, you buy a Microsoft Office with so many applications within it, and you'll find that some of these applications would never be used. Like if you buy a Microsoft Office to come with Excel, and maybe probably you want to use Excel alone. But with Excel, it also comes with Word, it comes with Access, others come with PowerPoint, it comes with other applications like SharePoint. So meaning that you just wanted to use Excel, but by installing the whole package, then you find yourself buying for features and applications that you will not use. So maybe you want to install QuickBooks on it for payroll, but QuickBooks also come with a number of features like stock control system within it, general ledger accounting within it. Probably you will never use such features, but you pay for that. Then the other disadvantage is that this software may lack important features. The software may lack important features because it was not actually developed for your own case. It may lack important features, thus requiring future modification and customization. It may lack important features, thus requiring future modification and customization. Future modification and customization, which sometimes is expensive. That is, in most cases, it is expensive to customize. Then another disadvantage, the software may not match current work process. The software may not match current work process. The software may not match current work process. Software may not match current work process. So those are some of disadvantages that the company will experience if it gets softwares from this source. So which softwares are these? We are regarding to the application softwares. We'll have a list of them. So to December to discuss a few, but to discuss word processing and spreadsheets only. So the application programs, you can write them. The functions of various general purpose softwares, functions of various general purpose softwares. These are the function and examples of various general purpose softwares. They are actually examples and functions. Number one, we have word processing applications, or word processing applications. So what are the function of word processing applications? Maybe you have ever used these word processing applications. So number one, you can say that these applications helps the user to create, edit, and print text documents. They enables the user to create, edit, and print text documents. Enables the user to create, edit, and print text documents. And print text documents. So they are simply used in document processing. Used in document processing. Examples, we have Microsoft Word, we have Word Perfect, Word Star, we have Open Office Writer. This is used in Linux operating systems. Those are a few examples: Word Star, Word Perfect, Open Office Writer. These are word processing. Number two, we have spreadsheet application. Spreadsheet. So what are spreadsheets? These provide a wide range of inbuilt functions. They provide a wide range of inbuilt functions for statistical, logical, financial, provide a wide range of inbuilt functions, wide range of inbuilt functions for statistical, logical, financial, database, graphs, date and time calculations. Date and time calculations. So you see they have more functions. And good examples here, we have Lotus. Lotus, we have 3 versions, 1, 2, and 3. We have other programs like the Quatra Pro. The Quatra Pro, it's double T, is an A here. Quatra Pro, that is another software that is used as spreadsheet, very common. It's very common. This software is common. Then we have Microsoft Excel, sorry, Microsoft Excel. These are the most common spreadsheet application that can be used. So meaning that they are normally used to do a lot of work. We have stated a few there. Then other programs that are used as applications are database management systems, database management systems. So these are a system of which manner? DBMS, database management systems. You can say that these are softwares used to store, manipulate, and retrieve data. The software is used to store, manipulate, and retrieve data. Store, manipulate, and retrieve data. So before the advent of computers, people used to do database management, but using the information offices. If you visit these big institutions like the government institutions, kama huko kwa government, ukienda huko pension towers, you will find those information centers. If you go to the offices land, huko kwa land, Ministry of Lands, then utapata hiyo the same information center. That is a very big room that consists of so many shelves with files. So, and the information of these files is stored there. So, and that old way of database management has led to so many issues because sometimes these files do get lost. Maybe they were replaced or maybe packed in a wrong shelf. So hence it become very difficult. Ukienda pia huko hospital like hapo Kenyatta ukienda, they still retain that old office information center. So, and the files are stored there. But nowadays we have the new system of storing data in database softwares. So examples of these softwares you can use, we have Access, Microsoft Access, common database that we use. You can also use other programs like DBase. DBase was used some times back. We have Oracle, that is one of the latest database system being used nowadays. And you have SQL. SQL. These are the latest database systems that are implemented in the current systems. So that is the database management systems. We have other applications used for presentation. We call them presentation softwares. The other types, presentation softwares. And presentation. Here we talk of the softwares that are used to create presentations, They are used to create presentations. That is, they allows the user to create visual. Visual is a presentation that has the visual look. So it enables the user to create a visual presentation. Okay, the speaker is able to organize his or her presentation into slides and then animate these slides during presentation. Hence, it makes presentation have all the content, including the graphics, the sound, the video, and simple animations. So it incorporates all these text, graphics, sounds, and video clips. So that makes presentation even better as compared to the type of presentation we are doing right now that comprises of just text and sound. So that is presentation softwares. Then examples, we have PowerPoint. The most common is PowerPoint. And PowerPoint goes with other softwares like we have Prezi. If you check some YouTube guys uses Prezi to make very interesting presentations over the web. Then there is another software we call Active Presenter. All these applications can allow you create very nice presentations that will include all those content, the graphic, the text, the animation, and videos. Then the other category of these softwares are graphic softwares. Graphics. We have softwares we refer to as graphic softwares. These softwares enables the user to create graphics, illustrations, drawings, paints. This is painting and shading. So they allow the user to do all these work, to create artworks. However, this is actually the computer framework of art and design that allows people to do what? It allows people to create graphic softwares or using graphic design. Examples of the softwares used in this case, examples of softwares used here. We have Corel Draw, one of the most oldest. Here we have Illustrator. We have InDesign. We have the Photoshop, common used software, Photoshop and Illustrator. If you check like now in this season, so many graphic posters billboards have been created. And this is all the work of Illustrator and Photoshop that has made all these graphics. So the other softwares used here, you have project management softwares. the project management softwares. Project management softwares. These are the softwares used to plan, schedule, allocate, project management. There are softwares that are used to plan, to schedule, to allocate and control people and other resources. Plan, schedule, and allocate people and other resources needed to complete a project. Needed to complete a project. So initially, people used to work manually to record projects in books. And actually, to do project management, you had to do it in books. But with the time, the work of these projects has been computerized, whereby you need to produce Gantt chart, part chart, network diagrams, critical time. We need to compute the total number of, or the total cost that is to be incurred to run a certain project. It is able to tell that to create a project, SGR, you need to have this amount of money. So why are they able to tell? Because they use software that can allow them calculate all the tasks that will be needed, the human resource, and other resources in terms of material and work that is needed to complete that project. Then you're able to tell the expected finish date, because every task is anticipated or allocated a given number of days or time or weeks. Hence, you are able to tell after how long will this project being functional. So that is project management. Examples of these programs, we have Microsoft Project. Number 2, we have Project Plan. Project Plan was initially developed to be used in Mac operating systems. We also have another program called the Timeline. All these are softwares used in project management. Then other systems still referred to as application. We have the financial or accounting systems. Or we call them financial or stroke accounting systems. This software provide income, expense tracking, provide income and expense tracking, reporting, monitors, plans, and budgets. So they give various reports that you discuss, like you have reports like balance sheet, trial balances, and all these kind of reports. They help to monitor activities. At the same time, they allows users to create budgets. We call them the financial system. Examples, we have the Quicken, QuickBooks, Sage. QuickBooks, the most common. You have Sage, Pastel. Some Indians like using Chari. Well, these are some of the most common. So if tukona zingine hapo, a number of them that are still used to run financial processing. Tuko na other category of softwares tunazita desktop publishing softwares. These softwares of which nature? You can say that desktop publishing, there are softwares that are used to create, the softwares that are used to create high quality printed out, high quality printouts. The high quality printouts, they are used to create high quality printouts. Yes, easy printouts. You can give examples like booklets, flyers, booklets, flyers, booklets, flyers, posters, and other devices that you can, or other documents you can use, like newsletters, newspapers. All these are desktop. So examples of desktop publishing softwares. Examples, we have Microsoft Publisher, we have Adobe InDesign, we also have Publisher. Sorry, we have talked of Microsoft Publisher, Adobe InDesign, and we have an old software used to be called the PageMaker, but some companies bado zimeregea hapo. They are still using the same application, the PageMaker, to do their desktop publishing. That means publishing through the web, through the desktop. So those are the most common application softwares that you ever come across. So here you are supposed to discuss word processing, spreadsheet, and just briefly about the accounting systems. So, but because some of these notes are easy to read through, I'll send you the copy of that and you go through. What you concentrate much on is spreadsheet, because they really ask even some technical questions there about how to have formulas, how you can write down a formula if you are given an extract of a worksheet that you resort to a particular value. So that is all about these applications. Finally, there is something we will discuss as we wind up. We have those factors that you have to consider when going for softwares, especially the applications. Choosing appropriate computer software is our heading. Choosing an appropriate computer software. Choosing an appropriate computer software. And here you say that there are 6 key software evaluation criteria. There are 6 key software evaluation criteria that should be considered. In an organization software decision. We have 6 key software evaluation criteria that should be considered in an organization software decision. Number 1 is functionality. You need to consider that functionality. Those are the factors to consider. Number 1 is functionality. What about it? You can see that software should have the right functionality. Software should have the right functionality to fit your individual or industry specific requirements. Software should have the right functionality to fit industry specific requirements. However, you should not buy software because it is well known. You should not buy software because the business that made this software is well established. But what you should think is this software able to add value in your business by enhancing the processes. So another factor is technology. Technology is another factor that you have to consider. Technology. What about technology? That is, the software must be able to match the platform. The software must be able to match. The software must be able to match for the platform and database that is running. The software must be able to match for the platform and database that you are running. The other factor is software vendor. Software vendor. Software vendor. You need to consider the software vendor, whether a good track record. However, the software vendor is a crucial part of software selection process. Why? Because the software vendor must be able to provide solutions. That is, the vendor must be able or must be in a position to provide solutions, that is, in case kuna errors or kuna problems, that is, you'll be able to do annual maintenance of the software, and enables that this software is actually running as supposed to or as expected. Therefore, the software vendor should also provide the training for those people or those clients, for the clients. Then you have maintenance and support. Maintenance and support is another factor to consider, that the software requires maintenance. So when you are going for this software, you have to consider that this software at one given time, it will require to be either upgraded or sometimes to check the functionality of the system, whether they are working as expected. Then the total cost of ownership is another factor to consider. Total cost of ownership. Total cost of ownership. Total cost of ownership. Total cost of ownership. That is, if you are to own this software, how much will you incur? You can say that you need to consider the total cost of ownership. To consider the total cost of ownership of the software solution, and not just the big discount, that the vendor may offer, for the upfront license cost, However, that means when buying this software, you should not go looking for vendors who will sweet talk you so that you get the software without actually explaining that in the long run, this software is supposed to reduce the expenses, or is supposed to cut down the cost of operation in a company. So you need to consider the total cost of ownership. So, and those are some of the factors to consider when you are actually going for these softwares. So we are almost through. Today I'll just give a small assignment, that make sure you do this assignment, because I will not repeat it in class. Tutaenda kuangalia about programming languages. That is in the book, one of those books I send you, Introduction to ICT, from page number 36. Utapata programming languages. Programming languages are artificial languages that are normally created to control the behavior of the machine. You have the machine language, assembly language, and high-level languages. And here we are given specifics, examples. If we just those 2 pages, just go read them through and add them to your notes. Hapo kwa hizo notes, uongezee hizo. Yes, maybe sometimes the examiner may separate factors to consider when going for software, and sometimes they separate factors to consider when choosing an operating system. Remember, operating system is also a software, but kuna additional factors for operating system. So you can write that, the factors to consider when choosing an operating system. Factors to consider when choosing an operating system. So here we just highlight a few that we feel like. So number 1 is hardware configuration. The hardware configuration. The hardware configuration. You need to consider that factor. So that is, you can give an example like memory capacity, because operating system will not work in a machine that has less memory than the required. Memory capacity, processor speed, and the hard disk capacity. That is what we talk of hardware configuration. Number 2, the type of computer. The type of computer is another factor. That is in terms of size and make. In terms of size and make. That is, you cannot go installing an operating system like iOS in your computer desktop, because the desktop cannot allow you to do that. So the operating system is actually dependent on the make of the machine. Apple computers use Mac operating systems, not Windows. By nature, they are created that way. Then another factor is the application software intended to be installed. Application softwares intended to be installed. That is, which application you install, the specific application that you require to install. That is, that you need to consider that. Then the other factor is user friendliness. User friendliness. User friendliness. Here we talk of ease of use. Ease of use. Why most people has Windows? Because Windows is very easy to use. Then another factor is documentation available. You need to consider documentation. The cost of operating system, because some of these operating systems are expensive. The cost of operating system. Then the other one is the reliability and security provided by the operating system. The reliability and security provided by the operating system. The number of processors and hardware it can support. The number of processors and hardware it can support. And the number of users it can support. And the number of users it can support. So you need to actually understand those factors. Okay, well, today's lesson, tafikisha hapo. And we are actually through with that topic, yeah. Hardware and software. Hardware and software. That is, we have finished that topic, hardware and software. Yes, kwa hivyo sasa utaenda ujaribu kujibu maswali zimebaki hapo. Ukisoma ile yenye imebaki, jaribu kusoma hizo maswali from question 4 mpaka the last question. So you have seen that is a paper that has concentrated only on a few topics, especially chapter 1. So we shall stop there and meet in our next lesson.